Instead of counting down, we're going to start at number 1. And the number 1 dodge in lacrosse that you should all know how to do is the split dodge. It's the foundation for every other dodge. It's the most important. If you've been playing lacrosse for any amount of time, chances are you've at least heard of the split dodge. It's where you switch your stick from one hand to the other and change directions. It's very similar to a crossover move in basketball, where you dribble the ball from one hand to the other and change direction. There are so many variations of the split dodge, and my favorite one is the 3-step split dodge. It's where you take one step in the direction you want to go, one step in the opposite direction, and then explode back to the direction you actually want to go. I'll explain how to do this more in a future video. The split dodge is a great dodge to use when you have lots of space. You'll notice a lot of midfielders using this dodge from up top when they have space and room to run at their defenders. Every lacrosse player can use the split dodge, but I think the guys who are super fast will find this dodge most useful, since it's really all about speed and quickness. If you're a faster player, the split dodge should be your best friend. The only knock I have on the split dodge is that you bring the stick in front of you, which means that your stick is vulnerable and a defenseman has the opportunity to check the ball out of your stick. But that's a nice segue into the second most important dodge that you should know how to do, the roll dodge. The roll dodge is another fundamental move that every lacrosse player, regardless of their position, should know how to do. It's similar to the split dodge in that many times you're switching hands and changing direction. But this time you're turning your back to your defender and rolling instead of facing him directly. There are also many variations of the roll dodge, and my personal favorite is the inside roll. This is where you take your defender upfield and roll underneath them to get your hands free for a goal. Usually you keep the ball in your same hand as opposed to switching it. It's nearly impossible to stop if you do it in the right situation, and it's a common move used by attackmen at all levels of lacrosse. Just like the split dodge, everyone can use this move, but the guys who are really strong or big might find this move especially useful, since you can really use your leverage to get past your defender. In addition, really short attackmen will find this dodge useful, as you can almost slip underneath your defender by rolling around him. The roll dodge is usually done with less space and can actually be the most effective when your defender is draped all over you. The great part about the roll dodge is that your stick is protected the entire time, which means that defenders will have a harder time getting the ball away from you. My only knock on this dodge is that your back is turned to your defender while you're doing the move, which means that you could get double teamed without you noticing. That's why it's always important to keep your head up when you're dodging and try to anticipate when a slide might be coming. For dodge number 3, we have the face dodge, which is another great move for all lacrosse players. The face dodge is probably the simplest dodge on this list. When your defender is running at you, you bring the stick in front of your face and keep it in your same hand. Once you're around your defender, you bring it back towards you and pass or shoot. The best time to use a face dodge is when your defender takes a bad approach at you. You can quickly face dodge around them and score. This dodge should primarily be used when you're off ball and you catch a ball and your defender runs at you. Sometimes it would take too long to switch hands, so keeping it in the same hand is effective. Outside shooters will also find this move very effective, as they usually work more off ball than players who dodge. You'll see a lot of Canadians use this move because they're known for only using their dominant hand instead of switching to their non-dominant hand. This move is also great in fast breaks when you quickly need to get around your defender. So the split dodge, roll dodge, and face dodge are, at least in my opinion, the 3 foundational dodges of lacrosse. Pretty much every other dodge is a combination or a variation of these 3 dodges. This is another great segue into my 4th dodge, which is the re-dodge. This is when you dodge once and maybe your defender stops you, so you get some space and dodge again. You re-dodge. As you play higher and higher levels of lacrosse, it's going to be difficult to get around your defender in one try, but the re-dodge can be effective at giving you another chance of scoring. A lot of times defenders are ready to slide to you when you do your first dodge, but if you re-dodge, the defenders are thrown off guard and don't slide. I actually just made a film breakdown of a re-dodge that you can go watch right now. I'll leave a link in the description. Finally, at number 5, we have the question mark dodge, which is one of my favorite dodges in all of lacrosse. This is where you drive up towards the island, which is around 5 yards up and 5 yards away from the goal. Then you turn around and shoot. I'd compare this move to a step back in basketball. It's a pretty difficult shot to do, but if you do it right, it's almost impossible to stop, because the defender can't get to your hands. The attackman who really made the question mark a go-to move is Rob Pennell. and I'd recommend that you go watch some of his film. The question mark is a great move if you favor your dominant hand. If your defender knows that you favor this hand, they'll probably try to push you to your non-dominant hand. Great, well you can drive up to the island with your non-dominant hand, and then turn around and shoot with your dominant hand. Checkmate. If you want to see even more great dodges, you should join the last weekly email newsletter.